Ever get in like one of those, like super smooth elevators in a new building, and you're like, who figured all this out? Today's deep dive, we're tackling Lift Installation Supervisors.
Oh, good one.
We've got a stack of info here from RoleCatcher. Career guides, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it's a lot more to it than people realize, I think.
All right, like you'd think, okay, installing a lift, how tough can it be? But they
There's
actually,
a lot more to it.
there's a bunch of stuff on RoleCatcher. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's not just the installation, right? You've got
Yeah.
safety regulations, project management, even like on-the-fly problem solving.
It's funny you say problem solving because RoleCatcher uses that exact phrase. They describe the role as someone who's monitoring, ensuring smooth progress,
Oh, yeah.
and gets this making quick decisions.
It's true, though.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Mm.
You're dealing with heavy machinery, construction deadlines. Sometimes, things just don't go according to plan.
Totally. And this isn't some cushy office gig. We're talking hands-on, from the ground up. RoleCatcher actually breaks down the career stages. You start as a junior technician.
Yeah, starting out, you're really in the thick of it.
They were talking about working on, like, the elevator's safety mechanisms,
Hence.
wiring diagrams, pressure sensors. Like, this is serious stuff.
Yeah. Not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. You're dealing with, all this stuff, and you have to be incredibly detail-oriented. Like if one wire's out of place.
Huge consequences.
Exactly. Big time.
Mm-hmm.
And those early experiences, troubleshooting, maybe a sensor's not calibrated right, or you got a faulty door interlock.
That's got to be where you really learn.
100%. That's where a future supervisor really cuts their teeth. They start thinking analytically, seeing how all the pieces fit together.
So it's like you're not just learning the what, but the why behind everything.
Exactly. And how to fix it when it goes wrong. Which, let's be honest, it inevitably does at some point.
Which, yeah, okay, so you're a junior technician, you're learning the ropes, literally. RoleCatcher then talks about moving up to actually installing lifts, like with some guidance.
Right. You're starting to get more responsibility.
More troubleshooting, a bit of programming even.
Oh, yeah. It's not just wrenches and screwdrivers these days. You've got to be tech savvy, too.
And then you hit the senior technician level. Now you're in charge.
Leading a team, overseeing those major tasks.
The whole shebang, they said. Shaft prep, the motor installation.
You're responsible for making sure everyone's on point, that things are done right and on schedule. Talk about pressure.
That's a whole other level of, like, not just knowing how it works, but managing people, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a skill that translates across any industry, managing people.
Totally. And then, boom, Lift Installation Supervisor. That's the big leagues.
That's where it all comes together.
They're not just, like, the technical expert anymore. RoleCatcher was talking about deadlines, client expectations.
Oh, yeah. You've got to be able to handle the client side, too. Make sure they're informed, manage expectations, all that.
And probably deal with unexpected stuff, like on a construction site, all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
You've got to be adaptable. Think on your feet.
Speaking of thinking on your feet, something I thought was interesting, how RoleCatcher's using AI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just streamline the job searching.
Yeah, like analyze job specs and all that, which, I don't know, it got me thinking.
Yeah, how so?
Just like a supervisor needs to be able to, like, read a situation quickly. Job seekers today kind of need that same skill.
You're right. To cut through the noise
Yeah.
and figure out what matters for their career.
Totally. Like, analyze all that info out there. Make a good decision.
It's an interesting parallel, isn't it? Like this idea of data analysis, it's touching everything. How we find jobs, how we install elevators even.
Wild.
It is wild. But before we go too far down the AI rabbit hole,
Yeah.
let's get back to those essential skills a lift installation supervisor needs, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Those early challenges a junior technician faces.
It's like they're thrown right into it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Figuring out all those, like, what do they call them?
The safety mechanisms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You've got to be on your game from day one.
Totally.
Because like we said, one little mistake could have,
Big consequences.
exact.
So they're a junior technician, they're learning all that.
Getting their hands dirty.
And then RoleCatcher was saying how, like, you move up to actually installing the lifts.
Right. So you're taking those skills, that knowledge, and applying it on a larger scale.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's like, you've been studying the textbook, and now you're actually building the thing.
Totally. And with guidance still, right? They're not just like, okay, go install that elevator by yourself.
Right. You still got more experienced technicians, mentors, guiding you, answering questions.
Makes sense.
But you're also given more autonomy to, troubleshoot, problem solve on your own.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Because that's really where you learn, right? When you're forced to think critically, come up with solutions independently.
100%. 100%.
And, as you progress, you start taking on even more responsibility, maybe doing some programming, getting into the more technical aspects.
Right, because they mentioned that, the programming part.
Yeah, like I said, it's not just wrenches and screwdrivers anymore. You got to be tech savvy.
It's like a whole other world.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But those skills, that ability to learn and adapt to new technologies, that's crucial in any field these days, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you keep honing those skills, you prove yourself as a reliable, capable technician, and eventually you're ready for that next step.
Which is senior technician, right?
Bingo. Now you're not just installing, you're leading,
Oh, wow.
overseeing those major tasks, managing a team, making sure everything's running smoothly.
Man, that's got to be a whole other, you're responsible for other people now.
Exactly. It's a whole other skill set.
Wow.
You got to be a good communicator, a problem solver, a leader, and of course still have that deep technical knowledge.
Right, because you've got to be able to answer their questions, if they run into problems.
Exactly. Exactly. You're the go-to person.
So the buck stops there.
100%. But, with great responsibility comes great.
Reward or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, the sense of accomplishment, the knowledge that you're playing a vital role in, building something that impacts people's lives every day.
That's got to be pretty cool.
It is. It is. But let's not forget the bigger picture here.
Oh, right, right.
We've been talking about the day-to-day, the hands-on stuff. But what about the long-term prospects?
Right, because, is this a good career, Is it stable?
Those everyone wants to know, right?
Hmm.
Job security, opportunities for advancement.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you know what? When it comes to lift installation, things are looking pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, remember we were talking about the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Hmm.
They're predicting 10% job growth in this field over the next decade.
Wow, that's pretty significant.
It is, especially when you consider all the talk about automation taking over jobs.
Right, right. Robots and all that.
Exactly. But the thing is, lifts, they're complex systems. They require a human touch, at least for now.
Yeah, I guess it's not like a robot can just show up and install an elevator in a building.
Not yet, anyway.
Right, not yet.
But hey, maybe that's something for our AI friends to work on.
Right. Maybe RoleCatcher can get their AI on that.
There you go. There you go. Always thinking ahead.
Well, got to stay ahead of the curve, right?
Absolutely.
But okay, so job security, good growth, all that. What about the day-to-day? What are the pros and cons according to RoleCatcher? So we've got job security, we've got growth. What did RoleCatcher say were the actual pros and cons of being
Of actually being a lift installation supervisor.
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis.
Well, they highlighted a few things. Like on the plus side, you get that satisfaction of seeing a project through right from the beginning to the end.
Oh, yeah, because we were talking about earlier, they're involved in every single stage.
Exactly. So there's that real sense of ownership, and accomplishment, obviously, building something from the ground up, literally.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty cool, especially with something as, I don't know, impressive as an elevator.
It is. It's a tangible result of your hard work.
Yeah.
You see it every day. People using it, relying on it.
And it's like you were a part of making that happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something not every job can offer.
Totally, totally. What about, downsides? Did they mention any?
Well, it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
Right, any job, there are challenges.
Right.
RoleCatcher mentioned the demanding schedule. Construction projects, they often have tight deadlines, so you might be working long hours, sometimes weekends.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially if something goes wrong, there's a delay or...
Exactly. You got to be adaptable, ready to adjust on the fly. And then there's the pressure aspect.
Oh, right, because they're the ones, ultimately responsible.
Right. You're the one calling the shots, making sure everything's on track, so it can be stressful at times.
For sure, for sure. But it sounds like the pros, outweigh the cons,
Oh, I think so. Especially if you're someone who enjoys, working with their hands, problem solving, being a leader.
And who's tech savvy? Because we can't forget about that whole, programming aspect.
Absolutely. That's only going to become more important as technology advances.
Right. Who knows what the future holds?
Who knows? Maybe we'll have, AI-powered lifts that install themselves.
Whoa, that's, next level.
Right. But even then, you'll still need someone who understands the technology, who can oversee the process, troubleshoot when things inevitably go wrong.
So basically, this is a job that's, future-proof, no matter what.
Pretty much. As long as we have buildings, we're going to need lifts.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we have lifts, we're going to need skilled professionals to install and maintain them.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another deep dive in the
Yeah, it's been
books.
fun.
Totally. We learned a ton about lift installation supervisors thanks to RoleCatcher.
Fascinating field, really.
It is. And, to everyone listening, if you're looking for a career that's challenging, rewarding, and what was the word? Future-proof?
Future-proof.
Future-proof, then this might be the one for you.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, that's a wrap on this episode. Catch you next time for another deep dive.